As we go on this week's episode of Pro Saints Talk, come to you in a somber tone as we talk about the departure of Sean Payton, some of our best memories. Goddamn, fellas, guy was here the last 16 years. It's almost half my life. We talk about what weighed into the decision, potential candidates to replace Sean Payton, but overall, our gratitude for the head signal caller, the head honcho, Sean Payton. All that and more next on Pro Saints Talk.
Look at uptown people like yeah. People up in Gretna like yeah. Mid-city folks like yeah. People downtown man yeah.
Who that's? Where you at? Our hearts go out tonight to Sean Payton. We had to do this tonight, get it to y'all raw, get all the real emotions out on the table. We're not going to have as prepared words as Sean Payton did today, but, we'll articulate the emotions as best we can because it's the end of an era. I still am in disbelief. I can't believe we're saying it. Sean Payton stepping away as head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And George, first and foremost, how you living, baby?
I'll tell you how I'm living. The 7 stages of grief: shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, acceptance. Overall melancholy, woeful, sorrowful, misery, doldrums, the blues. Blue, man. Blue. I can't believe it's affected me this much. I can't believe how sad I am. At first, I was just in shock and disbelief, just stunned. I thought all that was just clickbait, smoke, and BS. And then, man, when he gave that press conference, man, it was just like everyone shut the fuck up and listened to it. It was like the realest thing. It was just beautiful, man. There was no speech. He just laid his heart out, man. It was about something we all care about deeply. And like he kept going back to the Katrina year. And man, it was just like it just hammered in the fact that, dude, we went from the Jets, we went from the Browns, we went from a bottom 5 team. Since Sean Payton has been here, it's us, the Steelers, the Packers, and the Patriots who won the most games, to a top 5 team. And it's just that whole speech just brought so much emotion and appreciation for what he's given the Saints, the city, the fan base, all of us. It's just so much to unpack. I'm already going too far. Jay, how you living, man?
Doing pretty good. Feeling appreciative of everything that Coach Payton has given the team, given the organization and the city. I feel like so often doing this, guys, we talk about Sean Payton in such a revered way and him we trust. And it just goes back to the old adage that you think about something that you love so much, but you don't realize how special it was until it's gone. And I don't think that's quite hit me yet, but partly because I had a pretty busy day just in my own life, and I think it'll take some time to set in, George. But what you're saying and everything that he's brought me, and brought us, I still remember in high school when he was brought in, and just to think about, him being such a big part of our lives, and 2006 when he came in till now. We're all 33 years old, 32 years old, that being 16 years ago, from 17 to 33. And yeah, you forget what it was like before he got here. And when he's up on that podium, you think back to the days before, and it really was poignant when he said that he was talking about his mom and how his mom said, one of her things and her foundation in raising him was you leave a place better than it was before when you leave. And I think that sums up his tenure with the Saints perfectly. I mean, look how much better this organization is as a whole as he walks out the door, which is still surreal to say, than it was before he got here. I remember Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was not real to me until the Saints got their ass kicked by the Packers, I think by 50 points. I was living in the Woodlands, Texas. Tom Benson shoved a young Lee Zurich at the time, and there was talks of the Saints going to San Antonio. And to think how far the Saints have gotten from that point to where they were in even 06 in his first year to 09, the last 4 years, he certainly left the Saints in a lot better place than where he found it.
Jay, I mean, just back it up, dude, because you're getting way too far down the road for me emotionally right now, man. I am like barely able to eat this elephant like one bite at a time here. Like George alluded to it. This thing started out with just what we thought was like Ian Rappaport BS smoke. Like this was just the usual every 3 years or so, we're going to get the Sean Payton rumor that, oh yeah, he's looking elsewhere. He's looking to do something different, getting out of New Orleans, like stir up the Cowboys rumors. And you're just like, okay, yeah, somebody posted the tweet of like the last 4 times Rappaport's been wrong about this. And so you're like, oh man, we're good. We got this. Come on. It's Sean Payton. He is the New Orleans Saints. Who would ever want to leave his situation? He's got complete command and control. As he talked about today, stellar relationships from the top up, top down, bottom up. And then for it to just materialize this quickly, I mean, it was just like, boom, actually, wait, the sources are right. Oh, babe, press conference is starting right now. Dude, it was hitting way too fast for me. I mean, you want to talk about ripping the Band-Aid off. This wasn't fair. This wasn't fair for my, psychology here. I just, Jay, you highlighted this was such a big part of our football lives. I mean, it's like half of our time on earth has been with Sean Payton as the coach of the Saints, having us relevant when we've never been before. And that just got me so scared of what the future holds just now. I was like, oh gosh. So, I mean, yeah, he did say, leave it better than you found and create this sustained culture. And he's done that. But people make the culture. I mean, like it's people behaving in a certain way that define the culture. And when those people aren't around anymore, things get fragile quickly. Oh man,
Ron, let me hop in.
But wait, all right. You go, George.
You said a good word there, culture. And dude, he said a lot of really good stuff, and we can all unpack that as we chat. However, he said what he found to be his highest achievement was taking that culture and turning it into a winning culture. We all know who the Saints were before Sean Payton. We were the Jets. We were the worst. We were the laughing stock of the NFL. And he says turning this culture into a winning culture was more satisfying and rewarding than winning the Super Bowl. And that is so true because there's so many things you can't control. You can't control a NOLA no call. You can't control a Minneapolis Miracle. And all you can do is control what you can control. And that's what Sean Payton's doing. He's saying, I achieved our goal of working in concert. He kept saying that, working in unison and developing a winning culture in New Orleans where it's never existed before. And that is turning a canyon into a mountain. And what he did is so fantastic and super. There's no word to describe the monumental achievement he's done for this city, because he turned the laughingstock organization in the NFL into perennial winners. And we could never thank him enough for that. And it's just, I mean, hopefully we begin the tone of stop being so sad that he's leaving and begin to appreciate. And I guess we're somewhere in the middle right now. But
No,
man,
I'm not there yet. I'm just not.
no,
there
I
yet.
know I'm like, it's all the emotions all at once.
I'm still honestly more geared towards like a little ticked off. Like I guess more so than like appreciative yet. I mean, of course, I'm not saying I'm not. I will get there. I'm not thinking rationally yet.
I
So
think
like
it comes down to
I'm being like ticked off irrationally just because I'm like this came about way too suddenly and not like you ever picture any other send off for Sean Payton other than like a Super Bowl send off. But this is definitely not how I saw it going. Like, I just didn't see Breeze leaving 1 year and then him leaving after the next year. Like I feel like he's not even giving like
and we always said
the
as long-
revamp, the reinvention. He's not even giving it
We always
its
said-
time.
even after Breeze left, and they were always tied at the hip. As long as we have Sean Payton, we'll be all right. As long as we have Sean Payton, we'll be all right. And the golden era could continue. And now it's not. Jay, feel free to hop in.
Yeah, I just want to say something before we get too far down the road and talk about rumors and recalibrating. I mean, I worked in the industry for 7 years. My brother worked in it for a long time. I've got friends that work in the industry. I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect out there on how much these guys grind and what it takes. And even for me, from being in the industry, like, I'm like, how do these guys do this for life? Like, you sacrifice everything. And I was met personally at a decision at 30 years old. I haven't talked a lot about this on the podcast. I talked about it plenty with you guys in private, but I was fired from West Point at 30 years old. It shocked me. I didn't see it coming. Coach said we're going to make a change of your position. And I thought about it for a while, and it didn't take me long to think everything that I'm sacrificing. And at the end of the day, I'm fired. What is this all worth to chase this childhood dream? And what I'm getting at is these guys get paid. If you make it to the top of the top, Sean Payton, to be a head coach, to be a general manager, it's really hard to do. And you look at these guys as almost as if they're robots, and they get paid $15 million, suck it up, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is, Kirby Smart talked about it the other day in college football, and it's similar in NFL. You actually get more breaks in the NFL because you're not recruiting 24/7, 365. But these guys are getting paid $15 million. But when are they going to spend $15 million? They're not going to spend it until they're retired, because Sean Payton alluded to it in the press conference. He is working. He comes from that grinder tree, Bill Parcells. He is in the office every day until 2 a.m. during the season. How do you sustain that lifestyle? He's been doing that for 16 years. So you know what that means? He sacrificed his first marriage. It didn't work out for whatever reason, but his kids now are 22 and 26, right? So think of all the significant time that he's missed with them. Think about all the experiences that he's missed. And not only Sean Payton, but coaches everywhere from NFL to college, not head, but assistant coaches. And I think this is something now that is not in the shadows as much as it used to be, as there's more of an emphasis on mental health, et cetera. But I know people that have worked in the NFL for coaches that I'm not going to name, as little as a couple of years ago, that have said there's nothing else that exists outside of this building but this. So what do you choose, right? And I think somebody like Sean Payton, like you said today, I don't think he has an agenda, and we don't need to get to this right now for what he wants to do next. But I'm sure he's just freaking tired. The guy's had COVID twice in the last 18 months, everything that they had to overcome this year, and then let alone just being the NFL head coach for 16 years. I mean, at some point you look up and there's a lot of wear and tear that comes with that. There's a lot of bumps and bruises. You look up, your son's not 9 years old anymore. Your daughter's not 12 years old anymore. And you say, I just need a breath. And I think that's what's the case with Coach Payton in this situation. I mean, it takes a whole lot to be somebody like Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, to be a lifer in this, not even as a head coach, but an assistant coach, not even as an assistant coach, but an administrative member. I mean, like Jay Romick, George, you know, Jay Romick, that guy works over 100, Rob, you know him. Yeah. He works 100 hours a week. He doesn't get any glory, but everything that you put into this, you're sacrificing a lot of other stuff.
Sean Payton alluded to him too.
Okay, yeah. Wait, Jay, come on, man. You're missing the whole 2012 when he got that quality time coaching his son's football team. Come on, they're making a movie about it. And dude, wait, another quality time moment. Megan Payton doesn't make her big break, you know, as the Saints sideline reporter and get to marry this C-list celebrity and lead to that Happy Madison Netflix movie. I mean, so yeah, there were some, you know, benefits, I guess, of having the family close by and like getting them some breaks. He also just needed to coach long enough for his son to get out of college and get into coaching like Belichick. No, I mean, I'm half joking here. I'm selfish right now. I'm selfish that, like, I get all the reasons you're saying, Jay, but there's a lot of satisfaction that comes with the job too. Like I was talking about this with George. You feel younger when you're around young guys and competing and in the locker room. And then like,
Ron,
that's why.
Ron, real quick to interject. And I also wanted to say in that, the last season I was at West Point, we played Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, CeeDee Lamb. We took him to overtime. That was fucking awesome. You feel like you're on a drug, the high that comes with that.
Yeah.
Right? But and the galvanization within the group, all of that comes with that is like ecstasy. You come back, you land Sunday morning at 4 a.m. You're in the office the next day at 8 a.m. You get out of the office at 9 p.m. Your son, you see him for 20 minutes, you give him a kiss on the head, he goes to bed before you get home, right? So at some point, there's some trade-off that's like the ecstasy that comes with all that. What is it all worth if I can't sit back, take a step back, and really, really savor my life and everything that comes along with it, right? At what point is it I'm a Hall of Fame coach, but what is there to say if I'm a shitty dad, a shitty friend, and not to say that he is, right? But it's hard to put the time in those other buckets in your life if 98% of it is going towards the bucket of being the head coach of New Orleans Saints. And this isn't exclusive to Sean Payton. It's widespread across the industry everywhere.
Well, Jay, that goes into like Albert Einstein was a great human being. He wasn't a great man. And I think we can all name, of all the biographies we've read, of people who put whatever their specialty is ahead of being a father or
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk is a good contemporary version of that, where their minds are in the heavens and not in the house, so to speak. And you could tell Sean Payton's a regular guy. He's not he's smart, but he's not one of those, you know, IQ a billion types. And you could tell what you just said has been weighing on him. And he's been doing it for 16 years, working 16-hour days, and he wants to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And, I mean, think about it. Ida, 2 COVID years, life after Drew Brees. I think he realized how great he had it with Drew Brees. I mean, he always knew, but it must have been he could input a gimmick, input a wrinkle into the offense, and it'll be executed on Sunday. 10 out of 10 times under Drew Brees. And then life after Drew Brees, now he has these great ideas, but he can't implement them because he doesn't have the quarterback to fully understand the game plan. And now he's more or less babysitting instead of getting to really shine his ideas. And that must have weighed into it too, because yes, he's tired, and it's just he doesn't get to enjoy it like he used to too. There were times last year when Jameis went out, and it just seemed as though he was not showing his vigor when we were losing, and he was a bit accepting losing. And that maybe should have been when us three, kind of bashed our head together to say maybe this is the end of Sean Payton. We never had that thought, but there were indications there, because the old Sean Payton wouldn't lose 5 games without having a heart attack.
No, I just chalked that up to him maturing, and growing up. Also, maybe probably having realistic expectations for the team. I didn't really think anything of it there. I mean, y'all said like in very different ways and in multiple ways how fatigued, tired, exhausted, wears he down. I also think, I mean, he kind of talked about this a little bit with him and Breeze, even though they never discussed any kind of like, hey, I'll stay as long as you stay. But how much of that was he looked deflated this year because he fed off of Breeze and Breeze fed off of him, and they fueled each other. And when he wasn't around, he didn't have that go-to guy. He didn't have his guy that sits next to him on the bus ride to the games and just to bounce ideas off of. And he didn't have that same connection mentally, emotionally with anyone else on the team. And I mean, that's like if you've had a job where you have a really close coworker that, if that coworker leaves that job, your satisfaction, your quality of life at work drops dramatically. And all of a sudden you're thinking, man, do I need to jump ship and go find a new job? Because it's about who you work with too. It's not so much about what you're doing. It's like what Jay's talking about. You get that drug high, you get that emotional connection from the team, your teammates. And I think that's undeniable a reason here. Yeah, he's definitely got the family pulling at him, tugging at the sleeve. Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. Skylene's like, hey, I thought I married you like so that we could spend time together. I don't know. But, George, I think one thing I wanted to hit on here was like the fact that this felt so rushed. I mean, the NFL season is not over. Our season has been over for a couple weeks, but doesn't it just feel like the media like drove this timeline to like accelerate so fast?
Dude,
couldn't he have just taken a month?
This is us just completely speculating, and this is just me being a bit silly. But this is how I feel. After that Falcons game, had he just taken that flight to the Caribbean, the flight to South Africa, that flight to Paris, that flight to Thailand, and had been gone for a month, I feel as though he would have come back recharged and ready to take on the next season. But he's worn out, and then instead of going on the trip, he's just answering all these questions that it probably hammered in his mind. Fuck, I need a break. Damn, I need a break. Damn. And so then he did it. And he kind of talked about that with how he alluded to Gale and to Loomis a week ago that he was doing this. And he was very iffy. He was very on the fence about it. And had he just gone on vacation and got the R&R that he needed, that may have alleviated all this. But that's all woulda, coulda, shoulda if, he retired. Where he goes from here, there's all that, Colin Cowherd saying he's going to go join the Cowboys this year. Like, what he just said was the truth. That's a guy who had something bad happen to him, go walk to his neighborhood Uptown Henry's bar, order a whiskey, drink it, and just spill his guts out to the bartender. And he just did that to the whole world. It was so real what he just did. There wasn't one lie in there. It was just a guy opening up his heart from what happened the last 16 years because it meant so much to him. His whole legacy, everyone, who was Sean Payton before the Saints? He's just another coordinator. His whole legacy was built off these 16 years. So, yeah, it meant a lot to us, it meant a lot to him. Like Jay said, he's just a human. Yeah, well, you $15 million, you think he's more than that. No, man, he's a human. And this meant a lot to him. And he retires, needs to, live a more balanced life, and we all appreciate that. But it hurt him, and he's sad, and he wanted to just get it all off his chest. It wasn't like a prepared speech. He just spoke, and it was it was beautiful, man. I was had tears in my eyes the whole damn time. People would have left me alone while we watched. I would have cried, but there's so much going on in all of our lives that we couldn't just purely focus on it. But man, it just goes back to appreciating how much he's given us.
No, the cup was overflowing for me a couple different times there, George. When like Jay, how about the humble brag he dropped when he just goes, I would just now like to rattle off all the Pro Bowlers and all pro guys that I've coached. I kind of thought that was pretty awesome. And I don't know why. Like,
there were a couple of humble brags in there.
Well, yeah, of course. But like, I mean, there was a couple of names, like when he was going through the 06 draft class. I don't know why, like that was getting me choked up, man. Like just thinking about those names, like each name would stir up a memory.
How much he loved the 06 team. Because really, if you look back at that roster, it's not very talented, and that was a winning team. I love when he went back and revisited his biggest regrets, and he says that double reverse versus the Buccaneers. Like, yes, like we all hated you at that moment, Sean Payton. And then he talks about letting Ninkovich go. That's Jay's boy. There are just so many gems. The entire
Ninkovich.
Dude, Ninkovich got a lot of showtime on his speech.
I knew you would like that, George.
Everything about the whole speech was just beautiful. And just think about, okay, before Sean Payton, we had the Dome Patrol, Archie, Leroy Glover, the Ricky. There's nothing. All the great Saints memories happened under the Sean Payton golden era. It was all because of him. We owe him everything. Fan question coming in. Beebity beebity, beebity beebity, beebity beebity. Jansen from Patrick Kaliva, our main man, my son's godfather. I love him with all my heart, the best among us. He says to you, whose legacy means more to the city, Drew or Sean?
Oh, sorry. I got Pro Saints Talk live stream going on here. So I'm monitoring that as well. Drew or Sean? What's funny, George, is Peyton talked today about the chicken or the egg, Belichick, Brady discussion, which I thought was pretty funny because there's a lot of that conversation that takes place about the Saints as well, right? What is New Orleans without Breeze? What is it without Peyton? And all of this to say is I'm kind of using an FBI tactic on you by trying to delay my answer because that is such a good question there, Patrick. I think Breeze means more to the city than Sean Payton. I think it's very close. You could obviously argue either way, and it's a perfect marriage between the two. But if I had to pick one, you need a great quarterback to win in the NFL. And I know that had a lot to do with Sean Payton's genius. But maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I'm going to say number 9.
Ron, for you. Wait, there's a question. This is from Lightfoot Kaliva. I don't know if they're related, but it's dedicated to you, and he wants you to answer this one. Is that okay? You want to answer that last one?
Well, I would like to just say I think Sean Payton, just because it was Sean Payton's decision to take the gamble on Breeze, like he alluded to today, Jay. And yeah, I know Sean Payton's not the one out there setting NFL records, making all the throws, executing the plays, but you got to think he would have found somebody. I mean, heck, look at his record with Bridgewater. Look at his record with Taysom. I mean, those guys won in different ways, but so yeah, maybe it wouldn't have looked the same, but I still just think, like George said, the culture would have been there, and he would have made us a winner. Would we have won a Super Bowl? That's a fair debate. I don't know.
Ron, after 16 years, was the thought of rebuilding with looming cap issues too much for Sean Payton?
Sean Payton, like he gives two shits about the cap, dude.
We have cap issues every year.
He even made the statement today where he said, I've never heard the answer no with this management organization. I've got the wish list. Mickey's got the credit card. Like, he doesn't worry about that, man. He just says, hey, look, this is what I need. Go get me what I need. So, yeah, dude, I mean, we tried to flush this down the toilet a couple days ago. I mean, we were making the same point about like who would want to leave this situation.
Ron, there was a lot of smoke though.
There was.
And
I mean,
I think it raised a red flag when Jay Glazer, week 17, in his little pregame thing, said that is there a chance of Sean Payton leaving? Like, Sean Payton speaks of Mickey Loomis and how tight they are. He and Jay Glazer are pretty damn tight. So if Glazer's saying something, you know, that kind of leads you to believe that there may be something there. So that's when I became alerted when Glazer had the report in week 17.
You know, it never came up was when Jimmy Graham tore his ACL. And I thought we talked like highlights and lowlights and never brought that ridiculous moment up. That should have come up at some point today. Ron, any particular moment?
Wait.
And I meant
when did Jimmy Graham tear his ACL?
And Jimmy Graham tore his ACL in Tampa Bay?
I thought he had the plantar fasciitis.
No, Jimmy Graham tore Sean Payton's ACL.
Oh. All right, yeah, I forgot about that one. I thought you.
I remember he called the plays on the sideline.
I know.
It was such a crazy scene.
I know. I misheard you. I thought you were talking about Jimmy Graham's ACL.
And I meant this to be fun, not to say, when he lifted Lombardi, but like funny. No. What's the memory for you that totally is a great microcosm? And Jay answer after Ron about what a great memory you have in the Sean Payton 16 years.
I mean, man, there are a lot. I would say just some of his creative motivational tactics. Like, even though it didn't work, I really loved him rolling out the table of cash of like, this is what you're going to get if you win the Super Bowl. Like, those kinds of just like over the top, like in your face moments. I loved the moment from his book where he disclosed the night before the draft and we're fixing to draft Reggie Bush, and Mike Ornstein, marketing agent for Reggie Bush, calls. Little does he know he's getting put on speakerphone with Loomis, probably Lauschka, probably, Benson, probably, all the people, right? And says, oh yeah, well, you're going to need to draft somebody else because, we just think it would be in your best interest. Reggie doesn't really want to play for you. And Peyton just leans in, gives him the big F you. And that was just, that attitude, that kind of just confidence, we didn't have that. And so that was just so great. I don't know. Those are a couple of the first two that just come off the top of my head. Wearing the Barstool Roger Goodell clown shirt the year, like the first presser after the no call, that was also pretty damn epic. Jay, any highlights?
Ron, well, you're the steel trap, but I think to jump off of what you said, in addition to his offensive genius, he was a motivator of men, and you can see today by the things Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Malcolm Jenkins, how much respect those guys had for him. And I think that's something that maybe is overlooked sometime. Like, Cam Jordan played for the Saints for 11 years, right? To have a message that doesn't go stale over 16 years, that is hard to do. And it's impressive to be able to motivate a group of people that long. I feel like
Jay, you know how you do that? You do that with being earnest. Like, you can't bullshit for that long.
Yeah.
So you can only motivate that long by being earnest and
who you are. Yeah.
Exactly. So, when Rob Ryan, he couldn't look for 3 years and he yelled at everybody. Greg Williams, same thing. It doesn't last when you just yell for the sake of yelling. instead of actually having a true message behind it. And that's why you see those defensive coordinators rotate so much. Jay, another question for you. Speaking of defensive coordinators, Sean Payton said the name, said it in the press conference, in the building. Dennis Allen. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about on this podcast how much I like Dennis Allen, and like people are talking about going away from the Sean Payton thing. I mean, for everything that we just talked about and how successful this guy's been for so long, like why would you want to recreate the wheel and do something different, right? Although Dennis Allen would be his own man and be different. But I think he's another guy that's been with the Saints for a long time that you can just tell, we're not in that building, but how much respect he has from the players on defense and that whole team. And I think he's a guy that he had a chance with the Raiders when he was 37, 38 years old, a historically at that time average franchise that did well enough. And I think now you can tell from how he coached against Tampa, how he was received in that game. I think the players really gravitate towards him. There's no doubt he's a smart guy and he's a good coach considering how well this defense has played under him. And I think he's a leader like Sean Payton. So I think he'd be really good in that role of head coach. And, you know, there is another side of me that's like, all right, who else is out there? Make sure you're kicking all the trees and doing your due diligence. But that right guy might be right under your nose. And I'd feel really good about riding with DA and going forward with that. And I don't think there's any reason to break it up.
Especially with Carmichael.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was just about to say that, George. Like, yeah, you keep Carmichael around so that you have that continuity on offense. And then maybe the debate starts, was Sean Payton just a figurehead on offense? Yeah, no. But I kind of like that optimism, Jay. It's almost like instead of going full Ronnie Payton, you're going full Dennis Allen, like all in on this new identity of the defense, leading this team to victories. It would be nice. I mean, it would mark a new era for sure in terms of, man, we have evolved so much from the 2013 to 16 era of just league record-setting awful defense. Then this evolution into 17 through 20, where, I mean, just the franchise got completely reinvigorated there. And I mean, and I say reinvigorated, I mean, it wasn't like we were coming out of the Katrina year. I mean, it was just we were back. And then, to take this next leap forward, it would be a new fun chapter for sure. All right, well, George, what were you going to say?
Well, you're right. We still have Marcus Davenport. Okay, but all honesty, you have Demario Davis, you have Kamara, you have Ramrod, you have Eric McCoy, you have Marshawn Lattimore. Well, I don't know about Marcus Williams. Announcement. I'm sorry to say this, but we had some technical difficulties in the middle of recording our podcast last night, and we missed a little chunk in which we talked about how we still have a strong core of players, and there's no need to completely uproot the coaching staff and hire from outside because we have good continuity. You can continue that with Dennis Allen. But if we had to go away from who we have in-house, the potential options would be Flores, McDaniels, Byron Leftwich, etc. But we concluded the best bet is stay what you got going on. It's all positivity. No need to uproot and change everything, and go with your man Dennis Allen, and he can keep the defense as is, and it'd be a future of, instead of the Saints winning by great offense, it'd be a future where the Saints win with great defense. And that's what Dennis Allen would bring us as our head coach. Sorry again about the technical difficulties. You would have had a lot of laughs, a lot of tears in that little chunk that we missed, but c'est la vie.
Sean Payton, You got guys like Bill Cowher. His wife passed away tragically. He stepped away. Seems to be very comfortable in that broadcasting role. I think Sean Payton would excel in that broadcasting role. And it was almost like something today in the press conference, like he was almost like making himself available to these networks. Like, I haven't gotten any calls, but I think I'd be good at it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. But
he like makes some statement like, yeah, I called my agent and asked, have you heard anything? But then he goes, but that's
Yeah,
fine. That's okay.
Dude,
But
clearly.
I think I would like that.
yeah,
Oh.
but to get to the point of the question, so you got Bill Cowher on one side, right? You got Brian Billick. I'm sure there are others that don't come to mind right now. And then on the other side,
Jimmy Johnson.
right, on the other side, you have examples like Joe Gibbs that stepped away for a long time and came back. You have examples like Bill Parcells that stepped away and came back. The situation is extremely attractive where he could make $15 million a year next year as a broadcaster and potentially get paid more, because I can almost say it as it is etched in stone that he's going to be wonderful as a broadcaster. He's going to be great right away, similar to Romo. What are the percentage chances that Sean Payton is going to come back and coach again? Of course, there's already speculation that he's going to come back and after taking a year off, 2 years off, 5 years off. What percentage chances do you give it that he comes back versus stays out?
I mean, I think you have to give it pretty strong chances right now, because he said that I don't know exactly how he worded it, but he said something along the lines of like, I don't think I'm done coaching, or like, I think I will coach again one day. He said something pretty definitive, like he could be back in coaching. He just needs this time right now. I don't know. It's just such a weird mixed message today. You could never really pin him in a corner and be like, come on, man. Like, give us the real story. I don't know. So I would give it like 80% chances that he's back coaching at some point in time. He's a Parcells disciple. Parcells like a father figure to him. Like, he would definitely follow. He would be like, oh, well, Bill did it. So yeah, like I'm going to come back and coach in a couple of years. So I don't think
he's going to get, the more he's out, the more attractive he's going to be, similar to Gruden.
I mean, and here's going to be the really tough thing for me to swallow. This is just me personally. I don't know how y'all feel about this, but if he comes back, the chances of him coming back to the Saints are very slim, because, I mean, the stars would have to align when we need a coach. I don't know. He might not even – yeah, he would be like, well, wait, I've already done that. I want to go somewhere new. Either way, is that not just going to taint everything for y'all? I don't know. Maybe this is like too dark, too pessimistic. Godfather maybe affected me too much here. But like, we've been through this, dog and pony show before with a one Nick Saban. And, you think you're saying goodbye to somebody just to say hello to them in a different uniform.
No.
Y'all say that now. Okay, give it 3 years, 5 years.
He was here for 16 years.
Give it 10.
Don't be so
Give
petty.
it 10
Don't be
years.
so petty.
I don't care.
Dude.
Give it 10
Not
years.
even-
If he
not
comes
even
back,
saying-
would you listen to me? Would you listen? If you give him 10 years and he comes back as the Falcons head coach, you telling me those memories aren't gonna change a little bit?
A little bit, minuscule. I mean, he'll be 68 at the time. I mean, he gave us 16 years, and look where it was before. Look where it is now. You're comparing apples to oranges.
Okay, I guess the next
Saban was with LSU for 5 years.
Okay, and he won a championship. That's the whole point, right? I mean, like,
no,
so
there's more.
Ron, why are you even trying to create an enemy out of Sean Payton? This is not the time to do all
I'm
this.
not trying to make an enemy out of him. I'm just talking about the hypothetical of him coming back and coaching somewhere else is really going to impact how I remember this time.
Why? Why are you doing this now? This is some
because Jay just asked me that, dude. He just asked me what are the chances of him coming back and coaching, and that's all I can think about.
He'll go a year off, TV, coach again. And that's fine, man.
I don't know, man. If he has like tremendous success somewhere else, that will not be fine for me because I'll be like, you walked out on us and we let you
No,
walk
dude,
out on
he
us.
needed a break, man. He needed a break. 16-hour days for 16 years. You have to enjoy the fruit of your labor.
Oh, you think he hadn't enjoyed it? Dude, I mean, come on. Y'all
Dude.
act like his life has been that bad. I mean, look, I don't want to like, act disrespectful and everything here, but I mean, dude, the guy has enjoyed some fruits of his labor. He's gotten to be like, king of all these parades. He's celebrity status. He's gotten to enjoy some of the finest things that the world has to offer that, average Joes like you and I could only dream of. Did it come at a cost? Absolutely. Was he willing to pay it? You betcha. So, I mean, yeah, look, give the respect where it's due. He ran the marathon and now he's, finished his race.
If the shoe was on the other foot and you said, George, man, I'm worn out, man, I gotta retire, I would respect that, right? Like if you were Sean Payton working these long days, yeah, you get that bone every so often, and that's phenomenal. Great. High highs. Enjoy it. You deserve it. But if you came to me and said, George, man, I'm worn out. I'm worn the fuck out. I'd be like, man, I get you, man. Do what you got to do to get your mind right, right? I would totally back you up. And I feel like that was Sean Payton, man. Do what you got to do. He couldn't have given us any more. He's setting up Dennis Allen or whoever the next replacement is for success and hopefully can continue on the gumbo that he's been cooking. You forget this job is now desirable. It doesn't go from some Jim Haslett to some Ditka to just some awful trajectory of where we never get out of the gutter. He turned it from a negative to a positive. We were forever in his debt. He can go join the Falcons. He can beat us in the NFC Championship. We are forever indebted to him, Ron. We are forever indebted to him.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say I wasn't. I didn't say I wasn't forever in debt. And look, I don't want to look, Barstool, Mincy, Ben Mintz.
Ron,
like,
he can punch our babies. I'm just kidding.
Whoa. There's some things you don't come back from. So Mintz had something where like, oh yeah, after this, I said I was never going to complain. I had a very similar thing that I told myself walking out of Sun Life Stadium that night, February 7th, 2010. I said the Saints could lose every game for the rest of my life, and I'll always be able to find joy coming back to that night, that memory, that season. So, and that's independent of Sean Payton, obviously. He can't be the coach forever. And okay, George, I'll concede. He's 58. I would like to retire by that age. So, okay. But I guess it's that threat. It's that little teasing threat of like, oh yeah, but I might come back and coach and it won't be for y'all.
Jay, so
you gotta admire the candor and the honesty there, though. He didn't try to tell you what you want to hear. He said what was on his heart, and I respect that.
I like that more than what I wanted to hear. So Jay, what Ron just said is so true. He gave us a Super Bowl. But I'll tell you, even better than that, every Sunday for the past 16 years, we've expected to win. And you can look at the Monday Night Falcons COVID game. The Monday Night Football Dolphins game. Okay, 99% of the games we walked into expecting to win.
Absolutely. That's
what Sean Payton gave us for the last 16 years. We never had that before. No. It was like Tulane hoping for a win, not expecting a win. So, of course, what Ron said is great. True. But elaborate on just the week in and week out level of expectation that he's given us.
Yeah, I think I talked about it earlier. It's a grind, and Ron, you're right. He has been the king and Endymion. He's the king of New Orleans, and to be here as long as he's been here. I mean, he can do anything he wants in the city for as long as he wants to do it. And that goes with whatever he chooses to do next, right? If he wants to coach the Cowboys, he's been here for so long, right? We've seen this guy. I remember where I was when we hired Sean Payton. I remember watching that press conference. And what George said, he hits the nail on the head. And Sean Payton brought it up in his press conference when he was talking about Mike Tomlin having the most wins in X amount of years in his tenure and all the success that he's brought to the Saints. And I think, Ron, you talk about that 2010 Super Bowl victory, and that is amazing that you were there, and I do not take that for granted. I'm thinking this weekend about watching Josh Allen and Bills, and my heart goes out to Bills fans and how hard it is to get to that mountaintop and the crushing losses that we had after that in the playoffs and the grind that goes into it. I mean, coaches, people that work for that organization and talk about how hard this guy works, and to reemphasize that, I mean, the guy's in there, the staff is in there every night, right, till 2 a.m. And when I first got introduced to football, the head coach at the time, Pete Mangurian, one of the best, he told me, Jansen, we're going into the submarine. And that was my introduction to football. And I didn't know what that meant. And in October, early November, he said, he pointed to another coach. He said, man, you look tired. You're not used to this. They call it going into the submarine because essentially you're going underwater for 7-8 months. And you're not coming up for air. In the outside world, you don't even know what's going on in the outside world. And George, I think for you to put it in the small bites, like what he brought us every Sunday and the success and winning the division 4 straight years, there's so many more memories that come to you more than that Super Bowl. And of course, we'll never forget the joy that we felt, the elation that we felt after that Super Bowl victory. But Ron, my best memory, period, in sports and being a spectator in sports I spoke early in the podcast about the feelings that came along with immediately after Katrina and the Saints potentially moving. But that game against the Falcons, like I know it was the best memory for so many other Saints fans, being back in that dome and everything that came along with that. I mean, even sitting here in our mid-30s and the joy that we feel over the camaraderie that comes along with this podcast, and something that I talk about with my son Pete now that he kind of grasps playoffs and the Saints not going to the Super Bowl this year, and why couldn't the Rams win and potentially get in Super Bowls next year. I think all that to say, Rob, is why I will never, I will always hold this guy and what he was able to achieve with the Saints in high regard. And it was long, it was sustained, it was
entertaining.
It was joyful just for such a long period in our lives. Like you said earlier, such like half of our lives, and at the age where we really started to grasp it and understood the nuances and the importance of free agency and the draft, and watching round 1 at George's house on Saturday, round 2, sitting there for rounds 4 through 7. Ron, George, even going back to that Saints-Falcons game, right? Introducing Mike Tirico at the morning assembly at Jesuit and the black and gold day. And I mean, those are some of our fondest memories growing up. So I am forever thankful. And I think Peyton did a good job of pointing to the other people that were so important. And it's true, right? It's more than one guy. That's why I'm not I'm not devastated. Nobody died, but I can appreciate what his contributions were to the Saints, right? And the ship will go on. The ship
I
will
don't
go.
know, man. So like the way we're talking about him tonight, it is shaking my optimism for okay, geez, we're talking about how difficult the job is, how grueling it is. Geez, who would ever want this job? Like, dude, I mean, we're kind of making it seem like, geez, are we gonna land another whale like we did with Peyton? Like, of course,
Dennis Allen. He's a
it's just
continuation of.
I get that, but you know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, we're sitting here
tell 'em
talking
about
about
the
how
field.
big the shoes are to fill.
Wait, I got a confession for you guys. I know all y'all know, but the Rons might not know it. Ron, you can get at me, and they always get at me, but yeah. So when we were hiring for the head coach, I wanted Scott Linehan. who became the St. Louis Rams head coach for like 2 years. He got fired. He was the Dallas No, he was later the Dallas Cowboys OC. I forgot where he came from. I think maybe the Giants offensive coordinator.
He
went to
the Lions, right?
I think it was the St. Louis Rams, and like the Times-Picayune had all like these 5 guys that were interviewing. I don't know what about his description made me think that's the guy I want, and like Jamie Martin, I thought Jamie Martin was gonna be better than Drew Brees, and I was so wrong about that. That's really all my point. I think Jay had a lot of good points there. I think
well,
go ahead,
just a data point for you. I mean, I know I was exaggerating about Peyton coming back in 10 years, but how old do y'all think Bruce Arians is? Just a little trivia.
71.
He's 69. So like it plays to that point about when you're around young guys. I know y'all love to make fun of me for this. You feel that virility, man. Like you get energized by those guys. Like and it makes you feel younger. I guarantee you, like, dude, picture Sean Payton today and then wait to see him in like a year, unless he's doing something TV where he's going to be like Breeze and he's going to like shave 5 years off his life because he's going to get, new hair and all that. But yeah, I mean, just he's going to age quick. Just watch, because you're not around it and you're not. I don't know, man. So it's like once you get off the ride, in my opinion, it's very hard to get back on.
Ron, let me tell you this. You know how you were talking earlier before we started recording? There are people that are there in this world. There are people that are called to do certain things. There are people like Bill Belichick, Nick Saban that are called to be a head coach for eternity. They can't imagine their life being any different. There are truly people in the industry that are like, my marriage would not work out if I wasn't gone 14 hours a day. That is a real thing that I've heard. But Sean Payton obviously got called to say, he said it in his press conference, which is a tell that I'm more than just football. I think at some point, a lot of people that work within the industry start to feel that their whole identity is football, right? Like you can't talk like you feel like you can't talk to me about anything else. I'm more than this. And I think obviously from the press conference today, the way I read into it is like he feels like he is more than the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, right?
Jay, that's a great point, but I think you even hit on a greater point.
That he's a Ted Lasso fan.
No. He's here for a reason. And I don't know, like, I read a lot. I talk philosophically with James and Whit. And, you went about destiny and how some people are here at the right time for the right reason. Like, look at Churchill, what he did in South Africa, and then what he did in England, obviously, in World War II. And was that God's plan? If you believe in God, I do. And maybe there was a reason someone was put in a certain situation because of the fulfillment, for the destiny, they was there for a reason. And this, you're going to say, George, just football. But fuck that. It's not just football. Think of what Sean Payton did to the city after Katrina, right? So we were knocked out, not dead, but knocked out, and on the ground, broken nose, broken jaw. We were on the ground. We couldn't have been in a worse spot. Sean Payton has done more for this city in the last 16 years. I mean, people who were Ray Nagin, Latoya, Landrew can't hold a candle to him. It's not even close who's second. Maybe Drew Brees, you know what I'm saying? Like, Sean Payton is the leader this city needed when we were at our worst point, and it came to that conversation Jay mentioned of like, oh, Reggie Bush doesn't want to come there. Fuck that, we're doing it. You know, that full bravado, that full confidence, that full run. He embodies that when our city needed it most. And Jay, I don't even think you meant what you said at the time, but there's got to be a lot of destiny to the fact that he was Johnny on the spot when this city needed him most.
No, and George, I mean, Jay's brought this point up before. Sports are the great uniter. And you just saying all that about the city and everything just made me think, man, if only the timing was a little bit better. I feel like we could have renamed some things after Sean Payton, put up some Sean Payton statues. Like no one can complain about that. Like he brought everyone together and brought joy to everyone and boosted the economy. And I mean, yeah, he did everything for us. But I guess I don't want to like keep playing this bad guy on this episode, but like it's not like he went without any gratification, satisfaction in this job. Like Jay, you talked about it a little bit. Like there are a bunch of grinders in the NFL trying to make it that don't get a lick of the satisfaction and compensation that Sean Payton got. So I mean, he is the epitome of a success story and putting in all that work and it all paying off and yeah, getting to walk out on your own terms. I mean, in that sense, it's storybook. I guess just selfishly as a fan, it's just not how I expected this to end. I will admit I was not prepared for it to end yet. I mean, heck, we were sitting there hyping up 2022 like, hey, guys, here's why you need to get excited about this season because you still got the captain of the ship. But I don't know. I guess we got to rally behind first mate. DA.
Wait, Ron, I think what I just said and your reply to it was very weird. I just said Sean Payton was here because God put us there, and God put him there, and your reply was very weird. Just so.
No, you were talking about Ray Nagin and Mitch Landrew and how he's done more for the city than anyone else, and I was like, yeah, we should build statues and name stuff after him.
Yeah, and then you said some other weird stuff. And then the first thing you said was, yeah, Jay's right. You agree with Jay, and then about something, which I'm not.
Oh, I didn't say no. You always think I said it. I said as Jay said, or like I'll reference something Jay said. You always think I just start off everything well, just like Jay was accurately saying.
So wait, actually, you said a great thing, and Andrew, you deserve more credit. I don't know if anyone's going to listen to 3 hours of this. So Andrew's going to actually make he's going to find all the times. That's right, Jay, I agree. And he's going to make a 30, 45-minute collection of that to put on an episode one day soon. But guys, we should wrap this up. I mean, honestly, I could do this till the sun comes up. I really could. I don't know how y'all want to end it, but maybe some last and finals. What you got, Jay?
What you got, Ron?
What you got, Jay? I mean, I just got told that I went off on too weird of a tangent, so clearly it's time to wrap it up.
It was so unrelated to what I just said. It was,
dude.
Come on, guys. It's been a beautiful episode.
That's George. In case you don't know how the dynamic works, like with 3 people, sometimes I have to go back and skip over you back to what something Jansen was saying previously.
No. we can't have an episode without us arguing about something. But no, man. Last and final for me. There's gonna be all this stupid clickbait stuff. Don't let that cheapen anything. Come on. He's a human, right? He's a human. What he just told you on that 90-minute press conference was as honest as a human being can be. And I appreciated every second of it. I'm going to go back to that in my life, like watching Baller Block and watch that press conference because it was beautiful. It was real. It was as good, if not better, than a Saints win. It was just something moving about what he said. It was like a funeral of his Saints. It was him giving a speech of his Saints career in a funeral setting. It was magical. And don't listen to the horse's mouth. Don't listen to Colin Cowherd. Don't listen to all this clickbait nonsense about, oh, it's just some trick to go join the Cowboys. Don't let anything cheapen it. And don't let any of that nonsense cheapen the 16 years of glory that it gave us. I don't mean to adorn him any further than I already have, but ever since we started the podcast, we've always said thanks to Sean Payton, or thank God for Sean Payton, because he's been out coaching his opponents week in and week out forever. And what he think, get crunk, and all of the best memories we have with the Saints are thanks to him during his tenure. So don't let any of that nonsense cheapen it. And just, what you saw out of Sean Payton. You know the truth. Don't listen to all that foolishness that's going to come.
Yeah, George, I guess I'll kind of wrap it up with just like a couple stats to just like keep everything in perspective. I mean, yeah, we've sat here and talked about the successes, and we really will look back on our lives and be like, there was the Saints before Sean Payton was the coach, and then there was the Saints when Sean Payton was the coach, and then there were the Saints that after the Sean Payton was the coach. And so, all right, I mean, yes, obviously we know from our lifetime that the Saints only had one playoff victory before he showed up, went on to win 9 playoff games after that, and talked about the offense and the sustainability and the culture of excellence and just how much of a genius he was. I mean, and I'm just reading these off. I got to give credit where it's due. NOLA.com article for you also. Save you the click. Go look up the 30 best single seasons ever by total offense. We're in 5 of those. 9 seasons where we finished with a top 5 scoring offense, 10 seasons when we finished with a top 5 total offense, including 6 seasons where we were number 1. So, I mean, dude, I feel like we grew up talking about that greatest show on turf, like, dang, Mike Martz, what an offensive genius. Oh, Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt. Dude, and like Marshall Falk going 1,000.
Mike Martz.
Yeah, you didn't think you'd hear him tonight. I mean, we put that team as like just a footnote in the history book of the NFL. I mean, that we shatter all of that stuff in terms of this legacy, this excellence on offense may not ever be touched. And I say that a little cautiously with, guys like Patrick Mahomes just starting out their careers. But as a team, consistently, it's just, we're never going to see this again, and I'm sad again. Jay, you got anything?
Yeah, I think to echo both y'all's sentiments, and I think we've done a good job of trying to put our thoughts together quickly in appreciation for Sean Payton. But I think the big word for tonight is gratitude. And I think in a world where I'm guilty of it as well, where you move on to the next so quickly in a scroll world, you hear the Saints coaches retiring and you immediately think about who's the next guy. I think it's important to do what we did tonight and reflect on everything that Sean Payton provided for not only the Saints, but for the 3 of us, for the fan base, for the city of New Orleans, for the region. It's really important to take a step back and be grateful, because it's hard to win a game. It's hard to win, even more difficult to win a playoff game. Ron, you really put it in perspective when you compare the stats before Payton, after Payton on playoff wins and everything else that he brought this organization. It's hard to be mentioned up there in the top 2, top 3 in winning percentage. And that's something that no Saints fan should take for granted. and that doesn't come easily at all. So I think gratitude is the word that comes to mind for me, and just how this guy approached his job, the passion that he approached his job with. I'm grateful for. And, that in life, guys, there's going to be changes that happens. And it doesn't mean that we can't look back and mourn or be sad about the things that happen. But the other thing that happens in life is it goes on, and, changes happen, and it doesn't mean that there are going to be worse things to come, right? I think Sean Payton built an excellent foundation for this organization to go forward, and whoever is fortunate enough to take that position, I think there's much more success to come. So I'm optimistic about the Saints' future, despite the head man taking off. And it was a pleasure. Pleasure to speak with you guys tonight.
Sorry for interrupting. You're optimistic because of what he did, right? That's what we're
Foundation, yeah.
right. Ron, catching you off guard. I feel as though if we had a night to sleep on it, or a couple of days to sleep on it, we'd have all kinds of great ideas. One great idea I already have is we know tonight's outro. As I asked this question, I'll let it play in the background.
Sure.
Gotta hit the Sean
I
Payton.
thought it was going to be Vitamin C. Ron, can you sing it with me?
No, do the Sean Payton. Do the Sean Payton. Ron, last question. No, you gotta go on a high note, not a sorrowful note.
All the times we
Ron,
have
favorite Sean Payton regular
together.
season win other than the first Monday Night Football Falcons after Katrina game.
Dude, we just had our sweet goodbyes.
Yeah, seriously, bro.
Well,
I have to agree with Jay on this one. Bookmark it, Andrew.
Wait, Ron, I got one for you. Remember that time? So we're in the 326 seats, and that dick, those Redskin fans were being dicks.
Oh
to
yes,
those women.
dude, that comeback.
I don't want to be. I'm not. These guys were being pricks to these lesbian women, and the women said, "Will you please move your feet?" And they were saying no. And I don't know because their sexual orientation why they're being mean to them, but they were being pricks to them because their feet were poking out. So when the ladies moved back, their heads were hitting their feet, and these guys were just being dicks. And the Saints had no reason to come back. It was kind of like the Giants situation this season where we had the game wrapped up and gave it away. But even worse, it was like 4 minutes left, down 16. We come back, win the game, and those pricks were like trying to start a fight with us. And it was just like the most like, F you, dude, we won, walk out, F you. And just like, that to me was a great Sean Payton win. And there was 1,000. The Redskins win with Meacham. You don't need to be on special teams to make special plays. That comes up. Just so many great memories, and I know I don't want to go down that road again. Outro, do the Sean Payton. Sean Payton will love you forever.
As we go.
Go, Jansen.
Pro Saints talk and Sean Payton. We out here.
Oh,
Saints fans, the whole nation, go ahead, hit the Sean Payton. You know you're here for it. Why you wait? Do your dance. Hit the Sean Payton. Sean Payton. Sean Payton. Do your dance. Hit the Sean Payton. Sean Payton. Sean Payton. Saints fans, hit the Sean Payton. Black and gold, I bleed that. Another Super Bowl ring, I need that.